Hi, and welcome back to the Students in Stereo podcast. I'm your host, Teagan Elliott, and today's episode is just me. I wanted to come on and talk to you guys about the Middlesbrough Footie game, or match rather, that I went to. So, sorry, let me readjust here. Okay, the game. So, Joe and I went up to his home in his village, where I had a chicken parmo, which is different than like a chicken parmesan. So, like, I think because it's chicken parmesan has like the marinara, right? But the parmo, it's like a bechamel sauce and cheese and the fried chicken. So we had one of those. It's like I think it's just a northern specialty. Correct me if I'm wrong. I wish I had someone here. Like last time, if I had Erica here or Joe here, they'd be like, no, this is how it is. I think it's just like a northern thing. So I had a chicken parmo, and 'twas delicious. And they also had like you get like different special versions. So they had one where it was like the royal or whatever, and it had like the caramelized onions, and it had goat's cheese though. So I said to the guy, I was like, oh, can I get it with the goat's cheese but on the side? He was like, so you want just the goat's cheese? And I was like, just the goat's cheese on the side, but I want the other stuff. And he was really perplexed by this, and I also with my accent, I was like, oh no, like actually, yeah, no, just no goat's cheese, because I wanted to at least give it another whirl. You know what I mean? Like, does everyone have like the type of food that they didn't like years ago, and now they like, oh, I'll give it a whirl. But I didn't want to ruin my whole meal, obviously. Anyway, had my chicken parmo. Then went on a nice little stroll through the village. I was being such a villager. Like I get like the manor homes. Also, this was something I don't know if I've previously talked about before, but when they say that like someone lives like on an estate, like the estate homes or whatever, I thought that sounded very nice. I was like, oh, you live on an estate, bougie. No, the council estates. It's like I think it's um I probably should have looked this up before I was going to give the definition. I don't know the exact definition. I think it's just like it's rougher housing. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I thought that the council estates were going to be lovely bougie places, because an estate to me, I don't know if this is just a me thing or if it's an American thing, but I was like, oh right, an estate. This is going to be a bougie place. 'Twas not a bougie place, but the one I was looking at was nice, so I don't think it was like that rough. Also, this was funny. Speaking of rough places, so after, okay, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. The Middlesbrough game. This is not the rough place in the story, believe it or not. Middlesbrough game match. Sorry. So I pull up in my merch. It was a sunny, beautiful day. We got really, really lucky. It was sunny. It was Plymouth versus Middlesbrough in Borough. So we took some pictures outside because I wanted to send some to the fam. And then also, okay, tickets. Let's talk pricing. If I went to this game in Seattle, I'd say you're easily looking at around like a $200 ticket. I think that's like around what the Seahawks tickets are. $200. So this ticket in dollars was probably around $40 for a ticket. Great. We get in with myself, Joe, Erica, her boyfriend, and her brother and her cousin came. All super lovely. If any of them are listening, you guys are really nice. And we went in and had, I don't know if you guys saw on the Instagram stories, had a pint. And again, this is something with my American experience, like with the Seattle Kraken games. If you get a can of Corona, like the beer, it was $18, I believe, which is what, 15 pounds? That's insane. That's insane. And so I was ready for them to like rape us of our money for beer inside. Because when she was like, oh, we'll get a pint inside, I was like, okay, I'm expecting a like minimum £8 slash $9, $10 beer. Really, that was what I was thinking the minimum was going to be. No. It was like £4.50. And I was like, that's reasonable pricing for, especially, I mean, cause he lives, that's how much a pint is nowadays. So I was taken aback. I was taken by surprise. So I had my lovely pint. Oh, this was the best part, guys. When Erica said, "Oh, I need to go to the toilets," I went, "Oh, I'll come with you." Yeah. Ready to stand in line, have a little chat with her. There was no queue. Why? Because there were like no women at this game. It was definitely a man's world. And this was a highlight to me. I'm telling you of the experience, is that there was a queue for the men's, but the women's, no. It was amazing. And there were all these stalls in there as well. And I was like, how many women do they think are coming to these? Like, yeah, didn't have to wait. It was clean. It was nice. There was no one in there. I took a photo. I was like, Erica, get in. I'm taking a 0.5. It was quite funny. Yeah, so then we went up to our seats. Okay, and apparently there's some famous, I say famous, there's some well-known Plymouth fan. I don't know his name. Again, I wish Joe was here because then he could tell me what his name was. He has like a famous YouTube slash Instagram slash TikTok presence. And he goes to all the games, away, home, the whole shebang. He's one of those like diehard fans. And he was there, but he was in the Plymouth stands, obviously. So he was in like the opposition section. And it was full. They all wore their green. We all wore our red. And yeah, he was having a great time because Plymouth was winning. Because Borough was pretty shit, unfortunately, for this game I was at. But I was still loving the vibes. Like, live, laugh, loving the vibes. Had my pint, was there with my friends. It was a nice day. Honestly, I was... Oh, and I was also in my big poncho coat. So I looked like a wag. It was great. And, yeah, unfortunately, we weren't great. But this is the thing, is this was my first time really seeing, like, a football match that isn't on TV. Like, this is the first in-person one I've gone to, at least one that I can remember. And what I found to be really interesting was that, I mean, yeah, I could tell. I was like, this isn't as exciting as on TV. And obviously it's going to be different to TV because TV is able to cut and give you, like, the hot feeds. And they were also not, like, sorry, I'm totally getting sidetracked. But my overall point was with that is that I could tell that the caliber of the player wasn't what I'm used to seeing on TV, obviously for like World Cup, right? Like if that's what I'm used to, I was like, oh, okay. But in some ways, I liked it more because then they felt like more like real people. I don't know if that makes sense. Also, this is where I was going with my earlier point, was that like Jumbotron, cameras and stuff in stadiums, it feels like the Seattle Kraken especially, and a lot of like US games, there's this need to entertain at all times, and it feels like you are paying a lot of money, not just for the game, but for the entertainment factor, especially with the Seattle Kraken tickets that are so bloody expensive, is you are being entertained. Like, you have an opening ceremony, they've got games, they've got giveaways, they've got prizes, you've got so many screens and things like to look at to see the game, even though it is in front of you. With this stadium, it's obviously not as big as like Climate Pledge Arena or anything like that, but there was one screen off to my right because we were in south side of the stadium, so we were like next to the away fans, so it was like that. We got that friendly competitive edge, you know? And I didn't even see it until like near the end of the game, because again, like, you are seeing the actual players and the actual ball. Like, you don't need the whole screens and the entertainment and stuff. And then during halftime, they had some kids like kick a ball into the net, and it was all for the kids, you know? And so we went downstairs and had another pint, which again wasn't crazy expensive. So yeah, some chants. This is what I wanted to get into. So I was sat near the back, and this is where we had like some chappy people that were like banging on like the back metal part of the wall, going like bang, 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 bang. Oh, and then you had like some like 10-year-olds, and would try to copy them and swear to like try and be cool. There was this cute kid. She was maybe like, 5 or something, and she was flipping off like the opponents, and her dad was picking her up. It was actually kind of cute. It was funny. But no, so one of the chants, okay, I'm probably gonna butcher this. It goes like, "You are my borough, my only borough. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know how much I love you, so don't take my borough away." And you had like grown men like just singing this song. That was actually, I feel like I've done a lot of embarrassing stuff on this pod, but that to me was the most embarrassing thing I've done. I apologize. I'm cringing at myself. Don't even worry about it. So there was that chant. Then there was, did they ever say, let's go Borough? Let's go Borough, bang, 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 bang. And they had a couple other chants that aren't coming to mind because that one really stood out to me because it took me by surprise. Anyway, we unfortunately lost 2-0. But I had my little jersey and I asked Joe, I was like, should I wear like fake face paint? He said no and I'd get bullied, so I didn't do that. Then we took the train. The trains were really full. Like, tell me why. I got just an email from Trainline saying starting on Sunday, the tickets are going to go up by 4.9% in prices. So if I want, I can buy some now. Excuse me, I'm not buying tickets. Like, these trains, I'm telling you, were full. Every train we went on, Joe and I we either didn't get a seat or we'd get a seat. Like, they would overbook all these trains. It was hectic. It was so crazy. And this wasn't just for the game. This was like leaving New York. This was getting around, like, more local stuff. This wasn't just leaving the game kind of experience. Sorry. So that train line, I don't know what's going on with the trains right now in England. But there's always a strike. There's always something going on. So stay safe out there and find reliable modes of transportation. So we got the train, barely managed to get on, to go to Newcastle. So that was really fun. So the rowers at the uni had a race in Newcastle. And Joe and I, like I've already said in the last episode, for a lot of reasons, weren't racing this past weekend. But we went up for the night out after to celebrate their afters and be celebratory. So shout out Joe's friend Josh, very gracious host. All his housemates were lovely. And Joe and I got a Tesco meal deal for dinner, being students. But before we did that, rewind. Josh's place is about a 20-minute walk from the station because he goes to Newcastle Uni. And Newcastle Uni, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's like an NYU, but it is a city-based university. It's not a campus-based university like York is. So we were walking through the city and Apple Maps took us. I said to Joe, I'm like, there are two ways. I'm like, we either go to the main street or we can go down this way. He's like, let's go this way. And it took us through this like neighborhood that was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. But Joe was like shitting bricks. And it was really funny. He's like, right. Like, we started going down this one path and there was this guy on the right, like smoking weed. And then I was like, oh no, Joe, like we actually, like we went the wrong way. Like we have to backtrack and then go back down a different way. And he's like, right. I know. It was so funny to me. It's not like I didn't see any needles. I didn't see any, like, to me, it was rough. It wasn't great. But I feel like there was worse. God bless Joe. He was a little frightened. It was really funny. Then we finally made it to Josh's. And I will say we went through some, it wasn't just like about it being a little sus and a little sketch. It was, we were going through this like housing community and we were just blindly following maps. I was like, this is how people end up in documentaries. So we finally made it to Josh's, had our Tesco meal deal, preed, got ready, went out to Quayside Spoons. Shout out Quayside Spoons. Which was like the other side of town from where we were. And then, we went, ended up in Tropicana for a bit as well. Drinks were so spendy. I was like, oh, I can't afford this. Also, I'm pretty sure nearby there's some club that Kanye West either like went to or got arrested near. Do some research if you're interested in that. It was near the Tropicana in Newcastle. And then we went to the men and the women. Oh, this made me a little sad initially. The men and the women were preying separately, and I did not realize this. So when Joe had said that, like, oh, like, we're going to meet the men, I was like, oh, well, like, are the women not there? And he said no. And I was texting, but the thing is, the reception was so terrible in Newcastle. I don't know if this was just, if you have Vodafone or just Newcastle, but anywhere people were sending texts, they either weren't receiving them or they weren't going through. So I was texting my friend Connie on the team about where they were at, and she couldn't get any of these texts, and a lot of them weren't going through either. So I ended up just then praying with the guys, and I was like, I'm gonna be a bra girl. Like, this is not my intent. So It ended up being fine though. Um, I I was just one of the boys. No. It was fun. I felt like a bra girl though. But that was quickly remedied when we got to Soho Room, which is the club we went to. And definitely, here's the thing is again, like York clubs are so small compared to like the club I went to for my birthday in Nottingham. It was like a massive warehouse. Okay, like York clubs are quite small, and I will say that definitely put into perspective for me. I didn't want to go to Salvos for a while after that because Nottingham was so incredibly fun. Like with the pickleback shot that I was telling Erica about last episode, like the bars were fun. There was live music, and then the club was huge and massive and fun. So I will say Soho Room. How would I say, like the square footage and like the area you had on a floor was small, but there were multiple floors and multiple rooms. So like I'd say the second floor was like the fullest room. It was the biggest, had the most floor space, but was jam packed. So we were like, right, we need to get out of here. So we start going upstairs to room to room to room. And there's all these rooms, and there's a room with like some poles, and there's like we got dancers, and then like you go to a different room, and it's got a disco ball, and all that. They have different vibes and different music. So that was really, really cool. Yeah. Oh my god, no, it was so funny. And then there were these two rowers. They were drinking Moretti, like the beer, just in like the glass bottle. And they were saying that it was getting like quite warm. So I was like, oh, let me get like 2 glasses of ice. And in my head I thought that they would just like take some of the ice out and then pour the beer in just to cool it down a bit. I know it's like sacrilege to put ice in your beer, but I was like, it's not great. We're in a club, like, but instead they put the bottles in the ice cup, and I was like, I guess that works. So I hadn't thought of that. So I guess that's something you can do if you're feeling you just truly cannot put the ice in the beer together. Um, yeah. Other than that, highlight of my night was after I left, I went to Greg's. And at 2:30 in the morning, I got a sausage roll, and they were out of steak bakes. So I spontaneously got a corned beef bake, which, mm, 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 mm. I got a bone to pick with this corned beef bake thing. Is it like, because the steak bake, okay, so for those who don't know, let me get comfortable here. The steak bake is like chunks. Okay, so you have like you have a pastry, okay? Think about a square pastry, and inside said pastry, you've got like gravy, steak, onions, bits of beef. Like, I think it is delectable. The corned beef bake is also that square. It's the bake with the pastry, right? But on the inside, it had like a blended meat consistency. It's like they took the corned beef and they blended it with spices and shit. I could not get over the texture. But drunk, I mean, I still like, I ate part of it because I was like, oh, I paid for that. And then realized halfway through, I was like, Teagan, you really don't like this. What are you doing? And then I also had the sausage roll dough, and a water. Bless up. Yeah, and then we got back, and then, and Joe got Taco Bell, which felt very American. And I also recently found out that they, the Taco Bell here, I think that they used to do the Dorito taco, but they don't do it anymore. Because, okay, I went to Taco Bell last spring, and they did not have it, so be warned if you're a Taco Bell Dorito taco stan. I don't think they have it, or they have it at select locations, something along those lines. Also, I was talking to my composers for my short film. Shout out Lilac Fall, and they were telling me that they thought it was really surprising when they met an American that went to university in the States, saying how there's this whole dedication and fans and money put into university sport for like viewership. So people will watch university football and fill out and sell out a stadium to watch it. That really surprised them. I was like, well, when you put it like that, yeah, I don't, like, no one comes like University of York football and sells out like a stadium for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that competitive. So if you're British and did not know that, now you do. Yeah. So Oh god, this is so bad. I really should have done more research beforehand. There's this big game. Is it the Apple Cup? Oh no, this is really bad. I think I should look this up. There's this big game basically in the States for university American football, and the University of Washington made it back in early January. They made it to the finals in New Orleans, which they haven't done in like years and years and years. So this was a big deal for Washington fans. So I had a lot of friends that went down for the game. It was a big deal. It was a lot of fun. Or was the final in? I feel like it was in New Orleans. New Orleans or Texas? The semifinals. Okay, the semifinals and the finals. One of them was New Orleans. One was Texas. Sorry. So I had a lot of friends that flew down to said final, and it was crazy. Like, I mean, you have these diehard university sport fans that will fly around the country last minute, drop of a hat, you never know, like for these games. And I was actually kind of loving it. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was really loving like the excitement for Washington fans. And I know that the band conductor, they did a piece with him like on the news for the marching band. It was his last like year of teaching, and so it was pretty cool that he got to like this that's like going out with a bang. Like he doesn't think he would ever like make it back to that kind of game again. So that was pretty cool for him. Yeah, that was my that was my weekend. It was pretty chaotic. Oh, and then to top it all off, I can't believe I almost forgot this part. On the Sunday when I got back, Joe's parents made me a Sunday roast for lunch. Isn't that lovely? They made me the pork, and I didn't realize the pork crackling. It's like the top of the pork. So he like Joe's dad scored it on the top and put it in the oven and with like the hot oil and stuff, and it made the crackling. Oh, I was obsessed. It was a little salty, but it was like, oh, chef's kiss. I love pork crackling. I do enjoy. So we had the pork crackling, we had the pork, the gravy, Joe's mom made Yorkshire puddings. They were perfect. Roast potatoes, the veg. I was spoiled. Like, they definitely spoiled me. So I had some good eats while I was up north. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed. Then I got back, and this week has been very sim heavy. We film in about a week. Yeah. And sound wise, I think I have all my ducks in a row. I'm very excited. And then afterward, I'm actually really looking forward to the post-production process because I want to see it. I want to see it come together. I want to hear it. I'm really looking forward to it. And I am updating my resume, and I'm a little stressed. It's a lot of work, and I've never put together like a creative CV. Also, this is something I've also noticed here is because in the States, it's your resume. You put together your resume, you give your resume when you apply for a job. Here, it's your CV. I don't think there's much of a difference. It's pretty much the same thing. I think they just call it differently. Anyway, I'm sure there is a difference. I just, like, in the brief research I've done, there's probably minute differences, but in all, they are the same. So I put together my CV / resume, and it's a creative resume. I'm doing some research because I have like my work one, or if I like when I apply to like different jobs and stuff like that has my work history from like the States, but not a creatively driven one where I talk about films I've worked on. Like that feels quite rogue. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up this episode here. I'm sorry it's kind of short, guys. But last week's episode was really long, so please do forgive. I have a fun weekend planned. I don't know if you guys remember Fran. It's her birthday today when this drops. So happy birthday, Fran. And we're doing she's doing a big house party for her birthday tomorrow. So I'm excited for that. And meeting up with more friends on Friday. Like, I feel that school's going to get really busy after Easter break for sure, because that's when we got dissertation season and everything. Also, these leggings, if you're seeing this on YouTube, do you see this? I have these really long leggings, and I think that they're supposed to go over the ankle, but it just looks quite odd. And I feel like a penguin. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm feeling quite delulu. So that's gonna be the end of the episode here. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find this anywhere podcasts can be found, being Pocket Cast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other places. And also follow us on YouTube at Students in Stereo. And if you're watching us on YouTube, slay. Yeah. Thanks guys. See you all next week. Bye.